welcome our guests. And first item of business will be the approval of minutes from the November 19th meeting. You have a copy of those. Anybody note any errors or omissions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion by Mayor Debbie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is the approval of financial statement. You received a copy of those. Is there a motion on the adoption of the financial statement?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Shipp. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chairman Austin. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. All right, reports and updates. Report from the West Georgia Joint Development Authority, Mr. Shipp.
Okay, we covered it pretty much the last meeting, and not much has happened since the last meeting, but just wanted to mention that during the meeting last month, the reports in the counties showed all the counties in the region with growth, particularly Carroll and Troup. One comment that was sort of interesting was that the western corridor, the I-20 corridor, led the region in growth for the quarter, the third quarter, although the northeast corridor is going to lead growth for the year. But the reason for the western side leading, which would involve Paulding County, has to do with the build out, more or less, of the areas on the south and east and north side of Atlanta. So going forward, we should expect more build out on this side of the state.
I would like to, maybe at your next meeting, if y'all could discuss, we've had some discussions with our local legislative delegation about improvements on I-20. There are no message boards on Thornton Road, which is a major feeder. There are no message boards on I-20 prior to 285. That it certainly would be an improvement for people on the west side to have that kind of notification, and maybe if y'all could do some kind of
Notification of Paulding County or ways to Dallas or.
well, no, I'm talking about the traffic flow and
Traffic message boards.
traffic message boards and things to manage the commute. Any other questions of Alan? Report from the chamber, Carolyn?
Just a few quick things. We're finishing up a great year at the chamber and moving forward with our plans for 2015. Two of the new things that we are excited about this year is we have been working on the last month or so a healthcare alliance that will deal with that industry that is here in Paulding, and we will continue with our manufacturers alliance and getting that wrap going strong. And we are working with the aerospace alliance now, so taking on those three particular alliances that will move those industries further along in Paulding.
Have you been?
And we do have our annual 54 years this chamber has served the community, and we will be hosting that on January 22nd. We have a comedian, motivational speaker this year, Ken Kingston, and we're looking forward to having that at the Douglasville Conference Center again.
All right. Any questions, Carolyn? Executive Director's report?
I'll start with the Atlanta Film Studio. I think everybody knows that Vacation wrapped their shooting the end of November, and got everything moved out the first week of December. Everything went extremely well. No problems, no issues. They had some very, very interesting stage setups. They had 3 sections of a roller coaster set up in the back parking lot behind the film studio. So it was pretty interesting to see all that they did at the studio for that feature film. They really built some very, very intricate sets. For example, they had a set of, that was supposedly out in the desert in the Midwest somewhere with some teepees, and they brought in about 1.5 feet of sand, and they literally filled the floor of the studio with about 1.5 feet deep of sand in order to facilitate the look and the feel that they were going for. So very, very interesting shoot. I think that movie will likely do very well, and look forward to it coming out. We are going to get Fake Off back into the studio. It looks like probably end of January, 1st of February. I think everyone knows that Fake Off shot back during the summer and debuted, I guess, about a month and a half ago now. The show is doing very, very well.
I watched
and
it last night.
It is incredibly entertaining, very, very entertaining. It's amazing what those people can do. The contestants, just phenomenally talented people. But the network's very, very excited about the show. As I said, it's doing very, very well. So they are looking to come back into January, 1st of February to shoot season 2. So that's great to know that we've got a return, I guess our first return customer to the studio. So that's fantastic. Moving on to the Dallas Industrial Park, Parker FiberNet has completed the installation of fiber into the park. That fiber is connected to the Sheriff's Department on the back portion of the property. So that fiber is live, so we do have the capability now to market the fiber availability to that park, which will of course help us with marketing that park and trying to get tenants in there. So also wanted to mention that we have finally got sign off, I think, from the city on the pump station. So that project is complete. We'll be closing out the paperwork and the contracts on the pump station. Moving on to the corporate hangar. We had a little episode, I guess, 3 weeks ago now. Atlanta Gas Light was installing the gas line along the parkway, the airport parkway down to the hangar. They did hit the main power line to the airport and knocked out the power to the airport for about, I guess, about 12 hours. We were out of power. So that was an interesting episode. In addition to the power being out for about 12 hours, when the power did come back on, we found that we had damage to some of our phone lines. And apparently, when the power line was hit, there was a power surge that came through the line and into the building and affected some of the phones. So we did have to get AT&T out to do some repairs on some of the terminals for the phones to get the phones back up and running. So we were total out of power for about 12 hours and out of phone service for about 48 hours to the fuel farm, to the emergency monitoring systems in the building. So the FBO did lose about 2 days worth of fuel cells over this, and they are working with the state of Georgia through the 811 system, which is the system where they mark the utilities, to try to file a claim for their lost fuel cells for those 2 days when they were not able to have power or phone service to the fuel farm. Other than that, the corporate hangar is coming along well. The contractor who's installing the water line from the water tank down to the building has started work. They're on site and installing the water line there. And we are working with Prime to finalize the couple of things that still need to be done in the building. They finished up, I think, the restrooms and the plumbing last week. They finished up installing the awnings on the exterior of the building. So really the only things that they have left are pretty much the mechanical room, paving of the parking lot, and resurfacing of the floor, the concrete slab that has to be ground. So that's about all that they've got left on the hangar. Moving on to Dallas Millworks expansion. We did get notification from the Economic Development Administration that the project is still in the running for a grant. The grant is about $67,000. There was some additional paperwork and some additional information that they needed for us to submit in order for that grant to be processed. We're working with Julie Meadows out of Northwest Georgia Regional District to get the additional information to the Economic Development Administration to make sure we can secure that grant. There were some questions early on as to whether or not there was going to be a full environmental screening required. As it turns out, that's not required. The only thing that we had to do was submit project documentation to State Historical Preservation Office and the Tribal Historical Office for their review, and both of those things have been done. So it looks like we shouldn't have any other problems in accessing that grant money. That is a grant that was submitted by the Economic Development Organization. So with Jamie's departure from the Economic Development Organization, there have been certain things that we have inherited in terms of work, and this would be one of the things that we've inherited is this project and the grant that comes along with it. So we'll continue to work with that grant, continue to work with Northwest Georgia Regional Commission throughout the project. If DEO does hire someone else, then we'll talk about whether or not to turn that back over to them or whether just to continue the administration ourselves. But that is one of the things that we have inherited. Moving on to the last item, prospects. That is the second item that we've inherited. I will say that Carolyn Delamont and Philip Godfrey and myself did meet a couple of weeks ago to talk about the distribution of the workload from the EDO. So there are some things that have come down the pipeline. Interroll has requested some assistance with finding some space. Carolyn is working with them on that. There's a couple of things with the state that Philip is handling. And then we do have one new prospect that has come in that is a green construction materials manufacturer out of the Northeast. So we're working with that company and trying to secure them a location in the county and assist them in any way that we can. So as far as future prospects coming in the door, we have notified the state, Georgia Department of Economic Development, Georgia Power, and others that they can either contact me or they can contact Philip Godfrey as an initial contact. And then depending on the type of project and what they're looking for, Philip, Carolyn, and I will work together to determine who takes the lead on any particular prospect or any particular project. So taking the team approach, which is working very well, and don't see any problems with that. So if there's any questions on any of those, I'll be glad to address them.
Anybody got any questions, Blake? All right, next item is approval of the bond resolution for Dallas Memory Care Project.
I've asked Mr. Woodward, who's our bond counsel, to come, just going to give you an update on that.
Great, yeah, again, my name is Jim Woodward, law firm Grayson on Woodward. This is a follow-up to the inducement resolution that the authority approved back in September 24th to assist with the financing of Dallas Memory Care Facility. We've progressed since then. The county has done its TEFRA approval, which is something required in connection with private activity bonds, which are bonds for the benefit of private companies, insured private companies. This is the next step in the process. This is a bond resolution which approves all the bond documents. It's a lease agreement between the authority and Dallas Memory Care LLC, a trust and insured, and a few other bond documents. It also approves the issuance of bonds up to $8.5 million, not to exceed amount, and also approves parameters that the bonds may be issued under. I think for this deal it's 12%. This is the maximum interest rate. Again, this is a private company deal. It's not backed by the county. That's why it's a higher interest rate. And then basically, once this bond resolution is approved, we'll go into bond validation, and then probably sometime in January, February, the company expects to go out to public market with an offering and an official statement, and then possibly a pricing deal in February and closing towards the end of February and March is what we're looking for. But basically, this is the next step in the process. And then also prior to closing, there'll be a supplemental resolution approved by the authority approving the final terms. And at that time, we'll know who the bond buyers are, and the interest rates, final interest rates, principal amount, and response. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer them for you.
Any questions for Jim or Tom? All right, I will entertain a motion on the approval of the bond resolution for Dallas Memory Care Project. Is there a motion?
I'll make,
A second. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I will moved by Ms. Wright and second by Mayor Debbie to approve. Is there any discussion? I will note that I will abstain even though I have no connection with this project. My employers have a position there, so I don't want any air of impropriety there, and I will abstain from a vote on that. Is there any other discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain, carries 4-1. Next item.
4-0.
4-0, I'm sorry. Next item is approval of the change order number 001 with Blue Contracting.
Excuse me, can't talk. In your backup documentation, you have change order number 001 for Blue Contracting. This is the contractor that's running the water line from the water tank down to the hangar. As we discussed several months ago when we approved the original contract amount was $256,299.37. And when we approved that contract, I told you at that time that we were value engineering the project and that we would come back with a change order to reduce the total amount of the contract. So that's what I have for you today. We have value engineering the project. We ended up making several changes in the design that won't negatively impact the ultimate use of the water line and the fire suppression to the building, but do save us some money on the construction side. So the deduct here is $58,775. Just to give you a little bit of information, you can see up at the top of the description, basically reduce the water line diameter from 20-inch to a 12-inch. And we also revised some of the direction of the pipe to make it more streamlined and to minimize the potential impact of hitting rock. So those are the changes. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to address them. But this is something that we anticipated from the get-go, bringing back to you with the value engineering that we're working on.
All right, you heard the change order explained. Is there a motion on the change order?
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Shipp to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wright. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Passes unanimously. Next item is the approval of meeting dates, times, and location for 2015. This was the Airport Authority approved the 9 o'clock meeting on the third Wednesday of each month in this room. Is there a motion on the meeting dates and times for the IBA?
Can we adopt the same meeting time as before, but start the IBA at the finish of the airport? Is that allowed, or does it have to have a set?
Well, we've said 10 o'clock in the past or upon completion of the airport. I think you have to have a set time to be 10. So you'd have to do
So-
10 o'clock. All right, I have a motion by Chairman Austin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mayor Debbie. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is approval of a resolution honoring Jim Underwood. Yes, Tom, please.
Whereas Paulding County Industrial Building Authority was created by amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia, and whereas the Industrial Building Authority is comprised of 6 members, whereas said members are either appointed by the Paulding County Board of Commissioners or hold office as a result of his or her position, and all serve without pay. And whereas the duty of the authority is to promote economic development and create jobs in Paulding County. And whereas Jim Underwood was appointed to the Industrial Building Authority by a unanimous vote of the Board of Commissioners. And whereas Jim Underwood faithfully served the Industrial Building Authority from January 1, 2012 until his resignation in November 2014. And whereas Jim Underwood's extensive background and knowledge of the business world provided invaluable leadership to the Industrial Building Authority, especially on physical issues. And whereas Jim Underwood served as a professional, valuable, and dedicated member of the Industrial Building Authority, now therefore be it resolved by the Paulding County Industrial Building Authority that Jim Underwood be recognized for his leadership and commitment to a stronger, more diverse economy in Paulding County, a commitment to create jobs in the county, the Paulding County Industrial Building Authority, and the people of Paulding County. this 17th day of December, 2014.
You heard the resolution, is there a motion on this?
Motion.
Motion, is there a second?
Second. Yes.
Yeah, we were trying to-
Several months. Yes.
He's the higher.
All right, next item is need for executive session for discussion of pending litigation, and also there may be real estate, there's a real estate discussion we need to have. Is there a motion to enter executive session for litigation and real estate?
I make a motion.
Have a motion by Mayor Debbie, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. We should return shortly. Oh,
Blake, are you guys, is it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday closed for the airport?
No, it's just Thursday, Friday.
Thursday.
Following Thursday.
all right. I don't know, but we can go ahead. Is there a motion to return to executive session with report of no action taken? A regular session with report of no action taken in executive session?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion by Mayor Debbie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it passes unanimously. Is there any other business to be brought before the Industrial Building Authority this month? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Merry Christmas to all.
Have a motion, I'll take that as a motion, Ms. Wright, and a second by Mr. Shipp. Any discussion? Vote with your feet. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you in January.